Sometimes, one small act of kindness can echo through a lifetime. This is the true inspired story of Mr. Thompson, a humble school teacher from Ohio, and a student he helped one afternoon without expecting anything in return. But years later, that same student came back with a surprise that would bring Mr. Thompson to tears. It was a cold Friday afternoon in 2006. The lunch bell had just rung at Lincoln High School. Students filled the cafeteria, laughing, shouting, and rushing to grab a seat. Among them was a quiet 13-year-old boy named Ethan Walker. He wore old clothes, sat alone, and usually brought a small paper bag from home. But that day, he didn't have one. He walked to the counter, holding a tray with nothing on it. When the cashier told him his lunch account had no balance, Ethan froze. Other kids behind him began to whisper and giggle. That's when someone stepped in. Mr. Thompson, the history teacher everyone loved, had been standing nearby. Without saying much, he walked up to the cashier and quietly handed her his wallet. "Put it on my tab," he said with a smile. Ethan looked up, embarrassed. Thompson leaned down and said softly, "Never skip lunch, son. You can't learn on an empty stomach." It was a small moment, a few dollars, a kind gesture. But to Ethan, it meant everything. Over the next few months, Mr. Thompson noticed Ethan more often. He'd stay after class, helping with chairs or cleaning the board. He rarely talked about his family, but it was clear things weren't easy at home. One day, Ethan told him quietly, "My mom's working the jobs. Sometimes we just skip dinner." Mr. Thompson felt his heart break a little. He began leaving a small packed lunch on Ethan's desk every few days, never mentioning it, never making it a big deal. He simply wanted to make sure the boy had something to eat. Years passed. Ethan graduated and moved away. Thompson kept teaching, year after year, hundreds of students, countless lessons. Sometimes he wondered what had happened to Ethan, but teachers rarely get to see how their small acts shape lives. Then, after nearly 20 years of teaching, Mr. Thompson decided to retire. He was in his late 60s now, tired, but proud. On his last day, the school hosted a small farewell party in the cafeteria, the same one where he had paid for a student's lunch so many years ago. As Mr. Thompson gave his farewell speech, a man in his mid-30s walked into the room wearing a formal suit. He stood quietly at the back, holding a bouquet of flowers and an envelope. When the speech ended, he walked to the stage. Everyone turned to look. "Mr. Thompson," he said with a smile, "you probably don't remember me, but my name is Ethan Walker." Mr. Thompson's eyes widened. "Ethan? My goodness." Ethan continued, 20 years ago, you paid for my lunch when I couldn't afford it. You told me to never skip a meal because I couldn't learn on an empty stomach." The room fell silent. Ethan's voice trembled as he went on. "You didn't know this, but that simple act gave me hope when I had none. I went home that day and told my mom someone believed in me. That moment changed the way I saw the world." Ethan reached into his jacket and handed Mr. Thompson the envelope. Inside was a check, a $50,000 donation to Lincoln High School's lunch program. The note read, "For the kids who can afford lunch, from the kid who once couldn't eat." Tears rolled down Mr. Thompson's face as the room erupted in applause. Ethan wasn't just any man now. He was a successful lawyer in Chicago, specializing in children's rights. He said, "Every case I take, I remember what you did for me. You taught me compassion without even knowing it." News outlets picked up the story. Former student donates $50,000 to retiring teacher school. The story went viral across America, not because of the money, but because of the gratitude that came full circle. Thompson said in an interview, "Teachers never know which moments will matter. But maybe that's the beauty of it. Kindness always finds its way back. That one small act of kindness, paying for a student's lunch, planted a seed that grew for decades. And when it bloomed, it changed lives again." Ethan and Mr. Thompson still talk every month. Together, they started a foundation called Full Hearts, Full Plates, which now provides meals to thousands of underprivileged students across the U.S. Because sometimes, it's not about how much you give, it's about giving when no one else does.